To Omner, still the friend of my heart. You asked about the love that is here, and whether it is real. Perhaps my descriptions of life here have been too casual. I would not have you believe that this great principle has been easy to live. It is usually easier for us to love those whom we should love most naturally, our parents, our children, our husband or wife. Yet in the world, even that natural love is often twisted. Here in our city, we have also been asked to love even when such love is not returned. Here, we have needed to learn to love strangers, since we all came as strangers. Here we have been taught to love even those who were once, or would otherwise be, our enemies. It has been helpful for me, as I have struggled to enlarge my soul in love, to love God first, as much as I can, for He is perfect, and because He loves us. And we therefore start by seeking to be like Him. It is also helpful in the process of learning to love others more deeply, to realize who others really are, our eternal brothers and sisters, our friends of the future, our peers of the past beyond the pale of mortal memory. The fruits of love are often quickly ripened and so satisfying to the taste that love draws us in search of more. It is also helpful when others simultaneously try to love us. Several times in my smallness of soul, I have resented a particular person, but that person has rescued me from my frailties, because he has nevertheless demonstrated afresh his love for me. My shame has soon changed in a resolve to do better. Further, there are about us exemplars who have moved a greater distance down the pathway of love. It has been helpful to see them, to experience them, and to feel their love. I soon found that if I could but be patient, even if others were impatient with me, if I could but absorb unkind words without responding at once in resentment, the genuine regrets of the other person would move them to kindness. If I had responded otherwise, they would soon have been both angry at me and disappointed with themselves. Abner, in your wit, you said that in the city of Enoch we seem to have all the answers. We also have proper questions. I have learned, for instance, through sad experience, to check my conduct by asking myself, in the midst of the stress of daily duties, such simple questions as, whose needs am I really trying to meet? Sincerely asking such a question often brings forth a much needed reminder. As I involve myself in the give and take of life here, I first check for the presence of pride in the midst of my emotions. Often, when I feel wounded, upon sober reflection, I see that it is my pride, not a principle, that is the cause. Therefore, Umner, to strive to love my Father in heaven with all my heart, mind, and strength, and my neighbor as myself, puts Mahijah in proper perspective. Thus, on the first two great commandments that have been given to us by the Lord, hang all the other laws and commandments. Further, when I speak to you, Umner, of the unity here, and how we are of one mind and one heart, this must cause puzzlement in your soul, as it would in mine if I were trying to understand this city while standing outside its walls. Indeed, it is only by being inside that we can experience such unity, and even then it is difficult to explain. The unity and oneness we have are facilitated by our having the gift of the Holy Ghost, for he encourages us in doing righteous things, and also constrains us from manifesting our pride. This help is given in seemingly minor matters and also in truly weighty matters. Our experience here also teaches us to be patient with one another. Likewise, things that may seem unclear become clear. Things that at first seem obscure become obvious. Our unity is not the unity born of compulsion or of mindless rapport, but of the realization that such unity is a necessity. Omner, you would not criticize a group of people who sought the same high ground in the midst of a flood. You would not see their presence in one place as an unintelligent act, for they came together in order to be saved. So it is here. Life here is life in a large, affectionate, and unified family. Love in a family does not diminish the freedom of each member thereof. Our unity does not jeopardize our individuality. Undivided, we are multiplied. Being of one heart and one mind permits no divorce between knowing and feeling in the city of Enoch. Dissent is not present here. There is no need for dissent over doctrine, for the doctrines are perfect, and those who subscribe to these doctrines have freely elected Enoch's city as their abode. To dissent because of injustice in the presence of justice would be foolishness. To dissent because of pride is unnecessary, since all are humble. To dissent merely to display one's freedom would be a mark of one's bondage to pride. To dissent merely for the sake of dissent is not a mark of maturity. In other words, here, Omner, descent would serve no purpose. Children, once they learn to walk, do not resume crawling merely to prove that they can crawl. It helps greatly to do first things first, not only because these are most important, but because the order of things does matter. The process of believing together is the beginning of the unity of our minds. The process of repenting brings us to a greater unity in the manner of our living. The process of being baptized shows our willingness to submit to a common ordinance, that we might become an uncommon people. Receiving the gift of the Holy Ghost brings us to a unity in perceiving things as they really are and in the performing of our daily duties. Prayer keeps us ever mindful of our dependence on God. It is so easy to forget our present blessings as we pursue new blessings. In our meetings, we recount our own blessings. As we hear the blessings of others, we both feel and see the accumulations of affection from God to his people. The people of the world, in contrast, try to choose noble consequences without also choosing the noble ways of life that lead to those consequences. We cannot choose peace and then labor for peace apart from other conditions. Armies may slay each other with the sword by day, but by night slumber. But an adulteress will be cut continuously by the sword of her conscience and have no peace. Peace is based not alone on justice, but also on the process of self-discipline and selflessness, without which peace is impossible. Contrariwise, where people's thoughts are selfish, they will, one way or another, find cause to feel deprived or injured. Omner, many times in the years spent in this city, I have been moved to tears, sometimes from sadness over a sin of mine, but more often because of the indescribable joy that washes over me again and again. Miracles have moved me to tears, but when I weep most fervently, it is because of the goodness of God, when the mighty change of heart occurs in one of his children. Perhaps mentioning one such circumstance will suffice. There has been a man of a particular mark and sway among us, who was nearly consumed in his desire for praise. He partook deeply of the praise of the world while yet out in the world. His ways thus vexed his companions here almost daily, though they bore up admirably. Having not seen him for several seasons, I at last saw him in a setting where an achievement of worth pertaining to our harvest was being celebrated. A good measure of what had been done was by him. A good measure of what had been done was done by him, for he possessed of many talents. But no notice was being taken of his contribution, nor even of his presence. None was sought by him either. Then I saw him rejoice quietly over the achievement that blessed so many. Tears ran down his face, unnoticed except by me. Yet he gloried not in himself, but in what had been done. Then I wept. When I pondered upon what had brought him to this new point, and how he must have struggled to make quiet determination to do differently, I marveled at the ways of God. Then when I saw him slip away quietly from the group, having received no praise whatsoever, yet having true joy in his heart, I wept again. My words are but the musings of a mere man, but they enlarge upon the descriptions I sent to you, descriptions that otherwise must seem to you to glow so brightly, that you may question my credibility and integrity. If you do still question, even now, it gives me yet another reason to suggest, as I have so many times, that you come, see, and experience for yourself, experiment upon my words. As the owner of many large vineyards, you know that you must expect the fruit of the selfsame plant you plant. For what man plants vines, and is then surprised or angry when wheat does not appear? In order for men to partake of the fruit of felicity, they must plant the seeds thereof. Therefore, Omner, do not suppose that a single skill, one attribute, or one tremendous talent could make such a city. Many seemingly small things are combined here which together make a big difference. Things are fitly framed together. Thank you, Omner, for your generosity in suggesting that in recent years this friend writes with more conviction and competence. You also kindly suggest that I seem more humble. If so, I have so much to be humble about. Your friend and witnessing assurance, Mahijah.